The internet has changed everything that we do. It's become as much of a part of our everyday lives as eating and drinking. It's revolutionized the way that we interact with people at home and around the world, enabling millions to take their work with them on the go wherever they are, change the way that we shop, the way that we consume our entertainment, and most recently, the way that we spend money. In fact, it's even paved the way for a new type of money to spend, which is called cryptocurrency. So what is cryptocurrency? How is it affecting our lives, and who are the major players? It's time to uncover the facts behind it. One of the internet's largest companies, Facebook, and their bid to revolutionize cryptocurrency itself. By now, you've undoubtedly heard of one of the most popular forms of cryptocurrency available today, Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a decentralized digital currency without a central bank or single administrator that can be sent from user to user on the peer-to-peer Bitcoin network without the need for intermediaries. Transactions are verified by network nodes through cryptography and recorded in a public distributed ledger called a blockchain. Bitcoin was invented by an unknown person or group of people using the name Satoshi Nakamoto and was released as open-source software in 2009. Bitcoins are created as a reward for a process known as mining. They can be exchanged for other currencies, products and services. Research produced by University of Cambridge estimates that in 2017 there were 2.9 to 5.8 million unique users using a cryptocurrency wallet, most of them using Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been criticized for its use in illegal transactions, its high electricity consumption, price volatility, thefts from exchanges, and by reputable economists stating that it should have a zero price. Bitcoin has also been used as an investment, although over the years, several regulatory agencies have issued investor alerts about Bitcoin. Let's go back to where and when it all began. The domain name bitcoin.org was registered on the 18th of August 2008. On the 31st of October 2008, a link to a paper authored by Satoshi Nakamoto titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, was posted to a cryptography mailing list. Nakamoto implemented the Bitcoin software as open source code and released it in January 2009. Nakamoto's identity remains unknown. On January 3, 2009, the Bitcoin network was created when Nakamoto mined the first block of the chain, known as the Genesis block. Embedded in the coin base of this block was the text, "The Times, the 3rd of January 2009, Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks." This note references a headline published by The Times and has been interpreted as both a timestamp and a comment on the instability caused by fractional reverse banking. The receiver of the first Bitcoin transaction was cypherpunk Hal Finney, who created the first reusable proof-of-work system, also known as RPOW, in 2004. Finney downloaded the Bitcoin software on its release date and on January 12, 2009, received 10 Bitcoins from Nakamoto. Other early cypherpunk supporters were creator of Bitcoin predecessors, Wei Dai, creator of B-Money, and Nick Szaboy, creator of Bitcoin. In 2010, the first known commercial transaction using Bitcoin occurred when programmer Laszlo Hanyaz bought 2 Papa John's pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoin. Blockchain analysts estimate that Nakamoto had mined about 1 million Bitcoins before disappearing in 2010, when he handed the network alert key and control of the code repository over to Gavin Andresen. Andresen later became lead developer at the Bitcoin Foundation. Andresen then sought to decentralize control. This left opportunity for controversy to develop over the future development path of Bitcoin, in contrast to the perceived authority of Nakamoto's contributions. After early proof-of-concept transactions, the first major users of Bitcoin were black markets, such as Silk Road. During its 30 months of existence, beginning in February 2011, Silk Road exclusively accepted Bitcoins as payment, transacting 9.9 million in Bitcoins, worth about $214 million. In 2011, the price started at $0.3 per Bitcoin, growing to $5.27 for the year. The price rose to $31.50 on June the 8th of that same year. Within a month, the price fell to $11. The next month it fell to $7.80, and in another month to $4.77. In 2012, Bitcoin prices started at $5.27, growing to $13.30 for the year. By the 9th of January, the price had risen to $7.38, but then crashed by 49% to $3.80 over the next 16 days. The price then rose to $16.41 on the 17th of August, but fell by 57% to $7.10 over the next 3 days. The Bitcoin Foundation was founded in September 2012 to promote Bitcoin's development and uptake. In 2013, prices started at $13.30, rising to $770 by the 1st of January 2014. In March 2013, the blockchain temporarily split into two independent chains with different rules due to a bug in version 0.8 of the Bitcoin software. The two blockchains operated simultaneously for 6 hours, each with its own version of the transaction history from the moment of the split. Normal operation was restored when the majority of the network downgraded to version 0.7 of the Bitcoin software, selecting the backward-compatible version of the blockchain. As a result, this blockchain became the longest chain and could be accepted by all participants, regardless of their Bitcoin software version. During the split, the Mt. Gox exchange briefly halted Bitcoin deposits and the price dropped by 23% to $37 before recovering to previous level of approximately $48 in the following hours. The U.S. Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, established regulatory guidelines for decentralized virtual currencies such as Bitcoin, classifying American Bitcoin miners who sell their generated Bitcoins as money service businesses, MSBs, that are subject to registration or other legal obligations. In April, exchanges BitInstant and Mt. Gox experienced processing delays due to insufficient capacity, resulting in the Bitcoin price dropping from $266 to $76, before returning to $160 within 6 hours. The Bitcoin price rose to $259 on the 10th of April, but then crashed by 83% to $45 over the next 3 days. On the 15th of May 2013, US authorities seized accounts associated with Mt. Gox after discovering it had not registered as a money transmitter with FinCEN in the US. On June 23, 2013, the US Drug Enforcement Administration listed 11.02 Bitcoin as a seized asset in a United States Department of Justice seizure notice pursuant to 21 U.S.C. 881. This marked the first time a government agency had seized Bitcoin. The FBI seized about 30,000 Bitcoin in October 2013 from the dark web website Silk Road during the arrest of Ross William Ulbricht. These Bitcoins were sold at blind auction by the United States Marshals Service to venture capital investor Tim Draper. Bitcoin's price rose to $755 on the 19th of November and crashed by 50% to $378 the same day. On the 30th of November 2013, the price reached $1,163 before starting a long-term crash. declining by 87% to $152 in January 2015. On December 5, 2013, the People's Bank of China prohibited Chinese financial institutions from using bitcoins. After the announcement, the value of bitcoins dropped, and Baidu no longer accepted bitcoins for certain services. Buying real-world goods with any virtual currency had been illegal in China since at least 2009. In 2014, prices started at $770 and fell to $314 for the year. On July 30, 2014, the Wikimedia Foundation started accepting donations of Bitcoin. In 2015, prices started at $314 and rose to $434 for the year. In 2016, prices rose to $998 on January 1, 2017. Prices started at $998 in 2017 and rose to $13,412.44 on the 1st of January 2018, after reaching its all-time high of $19,783.06 on December 17, 2017. China banned trading in Bitcoin, with first steps taken in September 2017, and a complete ban that started on February 1, 2018. Bitcoin prices then fell from $9,052 to $6,914 on the 5th of February 2018. The percentage of Bitcoin trading in the Chinese renminbi fell from over 90% in September 2017 to less than 1% in June 2018. Throughout the rest of the first half of 2018, Bitcoin's price fluctuated between $11,480 and $5,848. On the 1st of July 2018, Bitcoin's price was $6,343. The price on January 1, 2019 was $3,747, down 72% for 2018, and down 81% since the all-time high. Bitcoin prices were negatively affected by several hacks or thefts from cryptocurrency exchanges, including thefts from CoinCheck in January 2018, CoinRail and Bithumb in June, and Bangkor in July. For the first 6 months of 2018, $761 million worth of cryptocurrencies were reported stolen from exchanges. Bitcoin's price was affected even though other cryptocurrencies were stolen at CoinRail and Bangkor, as investors worried about the security of cryptocurrency exchanges. Bitcoin transactions are defined using a forth-like scripting language. When a user sends Bitcoins, the user designates each address and the amount of Bitcoin being sent to that address in an output. To prevent double spending, each input must refer to a previous unspent output in the blockchain. The use of multiple inputs corresponds to the use of multiple coins in a cash transaction. Since transactions can have multiple outputs, users can send Bitcoins to multiple recipients in one transaction. As in a cash transaction, the sum of inputs, coins used to pay, can exceed the intended sum of payments. In such a case, an additional output is used, returning the change back to the payer. Any input satoshis not accounted for in the transaction outputs becomes the transaction fee. Though transaction fees are optional, miners can choose which transactions to process and prioritize those that pay higher fees. Miners may choose transactions based on the fee paid relative to their storage size, not the absolute amount of money paid as a fee. These fees are generally measured in satoshis per byte. The size of transactions is dependent on the number of inputs used to create the transaction and the number of outputs. Throughout the years, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies have made quite the impact on society, and the crypto craze continues to gain online and in-use momentum. It was only a matter of time before other internet giants stood up to take notice, even one of the biggest of them all, Facebook. Facebook Incorporated is an American online social media and social networking service company based in Menlo Park, California. It was founded by Mark Zuckerberg, along with fellow Harvard College students and roommates Eduardo Saverin, Andrew McCollum, Dustin Moskovitz, and Chris Hughes. It is considered one of the big four technology companies, along with Amazon, Apple, and Google. The founders initially limited the website's membership to Harvard students and subsequently Columbia, Stanford, and Yale students. Membership was eventually expanded to the remaining Ivy League schools, MIT, and higher educational institutions in the Boston area, then various other universities, and lastly high school students. Since 2006, anyone who claims to be at least 13 years old has been allowed to become a registered user of Facebook, though this may vary depending on local laws. The name comes from the Facebook directories often given to American university students. Facebook held its initial public offering, IPO, in February 2012, valuing the company at $104 billion, the largest valuation to date for a newly listed public company. Facebook makes most of its revenue from advertisements that appear on screen and in users' news feeds. The Facebook service can be accessed from devices with internet connectivity, such as personal computers, tablets, and smartphones. After registering, users can create a customized profile revealing information about themselves. They can post text, photos, and multimedia which is shared with any other users that have agreed to be their friend. Users can also use various embedded apps, join common interest groups, and receive notifications of their friends' activities. Facebook claimed that it had more than 2.3 billion monthly active users as of December 2018. However, it faces a big problem of fake accounts. It caught 3 billion fake accounts, but the ones it misses are the real problem. Many critics questioned whether Facebook knows how many actual users it has. Facebook is one of the world's most valuable companies. It receives prominent media coverage, including many controversies. These often involve user privacy, as with the Cambridge Analytica data scandal, political manipulation, as with the 2016 US elections, psychological effects such as addiction and low self-esteem, and content that some users find objectionable, including fake news, conspiracy theories, and copyright infringement. Facebook also does not remove false information from its pages, which brings continuous controversies. The commentators stated that Facebook helps to spread false information and fake news. Facebook offers other products and services. It acquired Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, and Grokstyle, and independently developed Facebook Messenger, Facebook Watch, and Facebook Portal. Zuckerberg originally built a website called FaceMash in 2003 while attending Harvard University. The site was comparable to Hot or Not and used photos compiled from the online Facebooks of 9 houses, placing 2 next to each other at a time and asking users to choose the hotter person. FaceMash attracted 450 visitors and 22,000 photo views in its first 4 hours. The site was sent to several campus group list servers, but was shut down a few days later by Harvard administration. Zuckerberg faced expulsion and was charged with breaching security, violating copyrights, and violating individual privacy. Ultimately, the charges were dropped. Zuckerberg expanded on this project that semester by creating a social study tool ahead of an art history final exam. He uploaded all art images to a website, each of which was accompanied by a comment section, then shared the site with his classmates. A Facebook is a student directory featuring photos and personal information. In 2003, Harvard had only a paper version along with private online directories. Zuckerberg told the Crimson, everyone's been talking a lot about a universal Facebook within Harvard. I think it's kind of silly that it would take the university a couple of years to get around to it. I can do it better than they can, and I can do it in a week. In January 2004, Zuckerberg coded a new website known as The Facebook, inspired by a Crimson editorial about Face Mash, stating, "It is clear that the technology needed to create a centralized website is readily available. The benefits are many." Zuckerberg met with Harvard student Eduardo Saverin, and each of them agreed to invest $1,000 in the site. On February 4, 2004, Zuckerberg launched The Facebook, originally located at thefacebook.com. 6 days after the site launched, Harvard seniors Cameron Winklevoss, Tyler Winklevoss, and Divya Narendra accused Zuckerberg of intentionally misleading them into believing that he would help them build a social network called HarvardConnection.com. They claimed that he was instead using their ideas to build a competing product. The three complained to the Crimson, and the newspaper began an investigation. They later sued Zuckerberg, settling in 2008 for 1.2 million shares, worth $300 million at Facebook's IPO. Membership was initially restricted to students of Harvard College. Within months, more than half the undergraduates had registered. Dustin Moskovitz, Andrew McCollum, and Chris Hughes joined Zuckerberg to help manage the growth of the website. In March 2004, Facebook expanded to Columbia, Stanford, and Yale, and then to all Ivy League colleges: Boston University, New York University, MIT, and successively most universities in the United States and Canada. In mid-2004, Napster co-founder and entrepreneur Sean Parker, an informal advisor to Zuckerberg, became company president. In June 2004, the company moved to Palo Alto, California. It received its first investment later that month from PayPal co-founder Peter Thiel. In 2005, the company dropped "the" from its name, after purchasing the domain name Facebook.com for $200,000 US. The domain had belonged to About Face Corporation. In May 2005, partners invested $12.7 million in Facebook, and Jim Breyer added $1 million of his own money. A high school version of the site launched in September 2005. Eligibility expanded to include employees of several companies, including Apple Inc. and Microsoft. On September 26, 2006, Facebook opened to everyone at least 13 years old with a valid email address. By late 2007, Facebook had 100,000 pages on which companies promoted themselves. Organization pages began rolling out in May 2009. On October 24, 2007, Microsoft announced that it had purchased a 1.6% share of Facebook for $240 million, giving Facebook a total implied value of around $15 billion. Microsoft's purchase included rights to place international advertisements. In October 2008, Facebook announced that its international headquarters would locate in Dublin, Ireland. In September 2009, Facebook said that it had achieved positive cash flow for the first time. A January 2009 Compete.com study ranked Facebook the most used social networking service by nationwide monthly active users. The company announced 500 million users in July 2010. Half of the site's membership used Facebook daily, for an average of 34 minutes, while 150 million users accessed the site from mobile devices. A company representative called the milestone a quiet revolution. In November 2010, based on Second Market Inc., an exchange for privately held companies' shares, Facebook's value was $41 billion. The company had slightly surpassed eBay to become the third largest American web company after Google and Amazon.com. On November 15, 2010, Facebook announced it had acquired the domain name fb.com from the American Farm Bureau Federation for an undisclosed amount. On January 11, 2011, the Farm Bureau disclosed $8.5 million in domain sales income, making the acquisition of fb.com one of the 10 highest domain sales in history. In February 2011, Facebook announced plans to move its headquarters to the former Sun Microsystems campus in Menlo Park, California. In March 2011, it was reported that Facebook was removing about 20,000 profiles daily for violations such as spam, graphic content, and underage use as part of its efforts to boost cybersecurity. Statistics showed that Facebook reached 1 trillion page views in the month of June 2011, making it the most visited website tracked by DoubleClick. According to a Nielsen study, Facebook had in 2011 become the second most accessed website in the US behind Google. In March 2012, Facebook announced App Center, a store selling applications that operate via the website. The store was to be available on iPhones, Android devices, and mobile web users. In April 2012, Facebook acquired Instagram for approximately $1 billion in cash and stock. Facebook's initial public offering came on May 17, 2012, at a share price of $38. The company was valued at $104 billion, the largest valuation to that date. The IPO raised $16 billion, the third largest in US history after Visa Inc. in 2008 and AT&T Wireless in 2000. Based on its 2012 income of $5 billion, Facebook joined the Fortune 500 list for the first time in May 2013, ranked 462. The shares set a first-day record for trading volume of an IPO, 46 million shares. The IPO was controversial, given the immediate price declines that followed, and was the subject of lawsuits, while SEC and FINRA both launched investigations. Zuckerberg announced at the start of October 2012 that Facebook had 1 billion monthly active users, including 600 million mobile users, 219 billion photo uploads, and 140 billion friend connections. On April 12, 2016, Zuckerberg outlined his 10-year vision, which rested on 3 main pillars: artificial intelligence, increased global connectivity, and virtual augmented reality. In June, Facebook announced Deep Text, a natural language processing AI that learns user intent and context in 20 languages. Things were going well for Zuckerberg and his company, but as is always the case, it wasn't long before people began using this amazing technology to further their own agendas. Controversy was just around the corner. On September 28, 2018, Facebook experienced a major breach of its security, exposing the data of 50 million users. The data breach started in July 2017 and was discovered on September 16th. Facebook notified users affected by the exploit and logged them out of their accounts. In March 2019, Facebook confirmed a password compromise of millions of Facebook Lite application users. However, in April, the company further stated that it was not just limited to Facebook, but it also affected millions of Instagram users. The reason cited was the storage of password as plain text, instead of encryption, which could be read by its employees. Facebook apologies have appeared in newspapers, television, blog posts, and on Facebook. On March 25, 2018, leading US and UK newspapers published full-page ads with a personal apology from Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg issued a verbal apology on CNN. In May 2010, he apologised for discrepancies in privacy settings. Previously, Facebook had its privacy settings spread over 20 pages, and has now put all of its privacy settings on one page, which makes it harder for third-party apps to access the user's personal information. In addition to publicly apologising, Facebook has said that it will be reviewing and auditing thousands of apps that display suspicious activities, in an effort to ensure that this breach of privacy does not happen again. In a 2010 report regarding privacy, a research project stated that not a lot of information is available regarding the consequences of what people disclose online. So often, what is available are just reports made available through popular media. In 2017, a former Facebook executive went on record to discuss how social media platforms have contributed to the unravelling of the fabric of society. Facebook relies on its users to generate the content that bonds its users to the service. The company has come under criticism both for allowing objectionable content, including conspiracy theories and fringe discourse, and for prohibiting other content that it deems inappropriate. It has been criticised a vector for fake news and has been accused of bearing responsibility for the conspiracy theory that the United States created ISIS, false anti-Rohingya posts being used by Myanmar's military to fuel genocide and ethnic cleansing, enabling Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting conspiracy theorists, and anti-refugee attacks in Germany. The government of the Philippines has also used Facebook as a tool to attack its critics. Facebook has repeatedly amended its content policies. In July 2018, it stated that it would downrank articles that its fact-checkers determined to be false and remove misinformation that incited violence. Zuckerberg once stated that it was unclear whether Holocaust deniers on Facebook intended to deceive others, for which he later apologized. Facebook stated that content that receives false ratings from its fact-checkers can be demonetized and suffer dramatically reduced distribution. Specific posts and videos that violate community standards can be removed on Facebook. In May 2019, Facebook banned a number of dangerous commentators from its platform, including Alex Jones, Louis Farrakhan, Milo Yiannopoulos, Paul Joseph Watson, Paul Nealon, David Duke, and Laura Loomer, for allegedly engaging in violence and hate. In 2018, Special Counsel Robert Mueller indicted 13 Russian nationals and 3 Russian organizations for engaging in operations to interfere with US political and electoral processes, including the 2016 presidential election. Mueller contacted Facebook subsequently to the company's disclosure that it had sold more than $100,000 worth of ads to a company, Internet Research Agency, with links to the Russian intelligence community before the 2016 US presidential election. In September 2017, Facebook's chief security officer, Alex Stamos, wrote the company found approximately $100,000 in ad spending from June of 2015 to May of 2017, associated with roughly 3,000 ads, that was connected to about 470 inauthentic accounts and pages in violation of our policies. Our analysis suggests these accounts and pages were affiliated with one another and likely operated out of Russia. Clinton and Trump campaigns spent $81 million on Facebook ads. The company pledged full cooperation in the Mueller investigation and provided all information about the Russian advertisements, including the identities of the individuals and companies who made the purchases. Members of the House and Senate Intelligence Committees have claimed that Facebook had withheld information that could illuminate the Russian propaganda campaign. Russian operatives have used Facebook to organize Black Lives Matter rallies and anti-immigration rallies on US soil, as well as anti-Clinton rallies and rallies both for and against Donald Trump. Facebook ads have also been used to exploit divisions over black political activism and Muslims by simultaneously sending contrary messages to different users based on their political and demographic characteristics in order to sow discord. In some cases, real people have been impersonated to these ends. Zuckerberg has stated that he regrets having dismissed concerns over Russian interference in the 2016 US presidential election. In January 2019, Facebook removed 289 pages and 75 coordinated accounts linked to the Russian state-owned news agency Sputnik, which had misrepresented themselves as independent news or general interest pages. In total, these accounts had around 790,000 followers and had spent around $135,000 on advertising between October 2013 and January 2019. Facebook later identified and removed an additional 1,907 accounts linked to Russia found to be engaging in coordinated, inauthentic behaviour. In 2018, a UK DCMS Select Committee's report had criticised Facebook for its reluctance to investigate abuse of its platform by the Russian government and for downplaying the extent of the problem. None of these incidents have ended up defining this juggernaut of a company, and their future has never seemed brighter. Over the years, Facebook and Zuckerberg have been the subject of music, books, film and television. The 2010 film, The Social Network, directed by David Fincher and written by Aaron Sorkin, stars Jesse Eisenberg as Zuckerberg and went on to win 3 Academy Awards and 4 Golden Globes. In 2008, Collins English Dictionary declared Facebook as its new word of the year. In December 2009, the New Oxford American Dictionary declared its word of the year to be the verb unfriend, defined as to remove someone as a friend on a social networking site such as Facebook. In August 2013, Facebook founded Internet.org in collaboration with 6 other technology companies to plan and help build affordable internet access for underdeveloped and developing countries. Its goal was to bring internet access and the benefits of connectivity to the portion of the world that doesn't have them. The service, called Free Basics, includes various low-bandwidth applications such as AccuWeather, Baby Center, BBC News, ESPN, and the search engine Bing. By 2018, Mark Zuckerberg said, "Our Internet.org efforts have helped almost 100 million people get access to the Internet, who may not have had it otherwise." Free Basics is available in dozens of countries. With their legacy cemented and horizons bright, Facebook made the bid to enter the world of cryptocurrency. In May of 2019, Facebook founded Libra Networks, reportedly in order to develop their own stablecoin cryptocurrency. In recent developments, it has been reported that Libra is being supported by financial companies like Visa, MasterCard, PayPal and Uber. The consortium of companies is expected to pool in $10 million each to fund the launch of the cryptocurrency coin named Libra. Libra is a permissioned blockchain digital currency proposed by the American social media company. The project, currency, and transactions are to be managed and cryptographically entrusted to the Libra Association, a membership organization founded by Facebook subsidiary Calibra and 27 others across payment, technology, telecommunication, online marketplace, venture capital, and non-profits. As of July 2019, the currency and network do not yet exist, and only rudimentary experimental code has been released. The launch is planned to be in 2020. Facebook Vice President David A. Marcus moved from Facebook Messenger to a new blockchain division in May 2018. First reports of Facebook planning a cryptocurrency, with Marcus in charge, emerged a few days later. By February 2019, there were more than 50 engineers working on the project. Confirmation that Facebook intended a cryptocurrency first emerged in May 2019. At this time, it was known as Global Coin or Facebook Coin. On July 15, 2019, Facebook announced the currency will not launch until all regulatory concerns have been met and the appropriate approvals. The plan is for the Libra token to be backed by financial assets such as a basket of currencies and US Treasury securities in an attempt to avoid volatility. Facebook has announced that each of the partners will inject an initial $10 million, so Libra has full asset backing on the day it opens. Libra service partners within the Libra Association will create new Libra currency units based on demand. Libra currency units will be retired as they are redeemed for conventional currency. Initial reconciliation of transactions will be performed at each service partner, and the blockchain's distributed ledger will be used for reconciliation between service partners. The intent is to help prevent everyone but members of the Libra Association from trying to extract and analyze data from the distributed ledger. In contrast to cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, which use permissionless blockchains, Libra is not decentralized, relying on trust in the Libra Association as a de facto central bank. Facebook had previously established the Libra Association to oversee the currency, founded by 28 members in Geneva, Switzerland. The project has faced criticism and opposition from central banks. The use of a cryptocurrency and blockchain for the implementation has been questioned. US regulators and politicians expressed concerns close on the mid-2019 announcement. Maxine Waters, chairperson of the United States House Committee on Financial Services Committee, asked Facebook to halt the development and launch of Libra, citing a list of recent scandals that the cryptocurrency market currently lacks a clear regulatory framework. The US House Committee on Financial Services Democrats sent a letter to Facebook asking the company to stop development of Libra, citing concerns of privacy, national security, trading, and monetary policy. Jerome Powell, chair of the Federal Reserve, testified before Congress on the 10th of July that the Fed had serious concerns as to how Libra would deal with money laundering, consumer protection, and financial stability. President Donald Trump tweeted on the 12th of July that if Facebook and other companies want to become a bank, they must seek a new banking charter and become subject to all banking regulations. French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire told French radio station Europe 1 that Libra could not be allowed to become a sovereign currency. He warned French Parliament of his concerns about Libra and privacy, money laundering and terrorism finance. He called on the central bank governors of the Group of Seven to prepare a report on Facebook's plans. Bank of England Governor Mike Carney said there was a need to keep an open mind about new technology for money transfers, but anything that works in this world will become instantly systemic and will have to be subject to the highest standards of regulation. German MEP Markus Ferber warned that Facebook could become a shadow bank. The government of Japan has begun the process of investigating Libra and doing an analysis on the effect of Japan's monetary policy and financial regulation. This will be done before the Group of Seven meeting in France between the 24th and the 26th of August 2019. The Swiss Federal Data Protection and Information Commissioner that Davis Marcus told the US Senate would oversee privacy for Libra said that it had not heard from Facebook at all. Industry observers have speculated whether Libra will provide meaningful privacy to its users. Facebook's plan is to let its subsidiary, Calibra, manage Libra for Facebook users, and Facebook executives have stated that Calibra will not share account holders' purchase information with Facebook without authorization. However, the system is also planned to include a friend finder search function. and the use of this function will constitute permission for Calibra to combine the account holder's transaction history with their Facebook account. Libra will not rely on cryptocurrency mining. Only members of the Libra Association will be able to process transactions via the permissioned blockchain. Libra hopes to begin transitioning to a permissionless proof-of-stake system within 5 years, although their own materials admit that no solution exists that can deliver the scale, stability, and security needed to support billions of people and transactions across the globe through a permissionless network. Libra's source code is written in Rust and published as open source under the Apache license, with the launch on the 18th of June 2019. Elaine Wu, an opinion writer at Bloomberg News, tried compiling and running the publicly released code for Libra. As supplied, the software did little more than allow fake coins to be put in a wallet. Almost all of the white paper functionality is not implemented, including major architectural features that have yet to be invented. Wu was surprised that Facebook would release software in such a state. Facebook plans to release a digital wallet called Calibra in 2020, made available in Messenger, WhatsApp, as well as in a standalone app. Move is the Libra blockchain's proposed smart contract and custom transactions language, compiled to bytecode. How this all plays out remains to be seen, but given the success of cryptocurrencies and the strong networking communications of the social media giant, the pairing is poised for success, as long as the public at large keeps clicking that ever so prominent like button.